So the real question is how do they actually leverage and benefit from the capability of generative AI while making sure that their data is secured? And this is what the solution is, which I'm going to be talking about today, which is Private GPT. So this is a solution which we developed at Keynote, and this basically helps the users to upload their document into our platform. And after uploading the document, the users can just directly chat with that document in the system. They can ask the questions, and they can receive the answers from the documents on the basis of the insights that they want. So this is the solution. Now, how is it private? So let's deep dive further into the architecture and what makes it actually private. So the privacy mechanism comes into play because of the structure that we've already created here. So once you upload the documents, we use MySQL vector database, which is already known for its robust security and retrieval capabilities. And to analyze the data, we have the other large language models such as Llama 2 or GPT for all, which is also being stored in your local machine, which makes sure that there's no data coming out of the system and everything runs on your own system. That is how it makes it secure. We're also using FES, which is basically used for creating high-dimensional vector embeddings, and this is primarily used for the speed as well as the accuracy of the results that you get while you're chatting with this overall system. Moving on. So let's discuss about the task type. So how is it beneficial? How is it differentiated? So what makes the private GPT different is primarily you get to do three things. Firstly, you can just upload your documents. So all the financial institutions, they can just upload their internal documents in this particular system, and they can ask the questions to the system itself based on their internal documents. So they don't have to spend lots and lots of time, like the financial analysts, which they spend a lot of time retrieving the right information out of the documents. They won't have to do that. Secondly, we've also made it possible by using SEC's Edgar's API that the documents that the financial analysts use, they can get the data on the real-time basis. So because of this API connection, so that all the company filings, the tickers, they are actually being retrieved in real time. The third thing which I want to talk about is MySQL. So let's say if the company has the database of their financial documents in MySQL, they can just directly integrate that with Private GPT and retrieve the information with the help of directly just chatting with the system and retrieving the data out of MySQL. Now let's discuss about what makes Private GPT different from the existing solutions available. So the first and the biggest thing is here we are allowing the user to pick the right models which they want, which is suited for them. It could be GPT for all, it could be Llama 2, we have it in our system, but it is totally suited and customized as per the user's requirement. The second biggest factor is that we are utilizing fine-tuned models, which means that these models are particularly catered for the financial services industry, which is very essential because, as we all know, financial services industries are very peculiar. Security matters the most to the finance industry, especially because all the decisions that they make are primarily driven by data. So that is why fine-tuned models are one of our biggest, I would say, differentiators for sure. Third, of course, the chat histories are always retained, so the users can just go back to the existing chat they had, they can build on to their queries and then generate more insights. So that is also one of the differentiators. Last, I would say, it also displays your citation. So like, let's say the user is actually chatting with a document, but they want to make sure that this is really true. They can just look at the citation and then they can go back there, they can refer to it. This makes it very transparent and trustworthy. So these are the key 4 differentiators for sure. Now, why is it important? As I initially mentioned, there's a lot of time that these financial analysts actually spend on these documents to retrieve the right sense of information that they need, and they have to do it every single day, which they have to spend like a lot of time in driving that information, which they can actually utilize in any other work, right? So the biggest advantage is improving their efficiency. The second biggest advantage is, of course, an AI-powered chatbot that is specifically catered to financial industry is very important because, as I mentioned, that finance industry, all the decisions that they make is primarily relied on data, and they do it in every single day basis. So this is one of the greatest advantage for sure. And third, I would say that because the machine learning model is being fine-tuned, there's a great possibility of reducing the errors as well as the hallucinations, as we say in AI landscape. So this is, I would say, is one of the most important factor that is also differentiating us and makes it very important to have like a private GPT for financial services industry. We do really feel that this product is kind of like a revolutionary product from our side, because considering the concerns that financial industry faces in terms of security of their data, they want to leverage this generative AI capability, but privacy is the biggest concern, and that is how we think that this product solves this particular problem. Now, I'd like to invite Natan, who is the co-founder and CEO of EndNote, to describe a little bit about our product more in terms of real-time demo.
Thanks so much, Sakshi. Really appreciate the presentation. I thought it was really good. And thanks so much for joining us. This is kind of part of like a spin out from our company called Android AI. And essentially, what we essentially do is we help enterprises implement large language models. And I'll kind of show you like a quick demo of how this product can actually work in practice. So you just kind of go to this Private GPT website, and essentially you can kind of ask questions on a variety of documents you upload. So in this example here, right, we've kind of have a few documents. Some are like English-based documents, and others are Japanese-based documents. You can kind of ask questions on them, and you can actually get answers. And you can kind of see like the answers from like the English documents are like from English sources, right? And like the answers from these Japanese documents, right, are in like Japanese sources, and you can actually expand the source to kind of see the chunk of text. And the way it works, this is like the public version, but we have like a private version that's like a desktop app that you can just download on your own Mac OS or Windows device. It's like a DMG file, and all the models, right, run locally. All uploaded data is stored locally, which means it doesn't kind of get exposed to the public. And I think, to actually think about how to make a product like this good, I'd say right now, a lot of these models, when you actually ask questions on these documents, to Sakshi's point, actually get a lot of the questions wrong. So our team's done a lot of work to actually benchmark a Q&A model such as GPT-4, Claude, Llama 2, and GPT for All, as well as Mistral, on a bunch of financial data sets like Finance Bench from Patronus, as well as like the RAG and Struct tester from LLMware. And what you'll find is like the answers that these models actually get are kind of like almost always wrong initially. You'll get like 5 to 10% accuracy. The text it gets is wrong. The chunk it gets is wrong. Sometimes you want to extract a specific information. It says like, I don't know what I'm talking about, or rambles on, right? So the question is, how do you actually ensure that the answers to these questions in a privacy-preserving way are actually not awful, right? Like, it's not going to be perfect, but like kind of somewhat right. So essentially, we've done a lot of work on fine-tuning, specifically like parameter-efficient fine-tuning with like LoRa and QLoRa, where rather than kind of retrain an entire model, you can fine-tune large language models on your own company-specific data. And we've kind of been able to do that in a way that's like not super slow. So you can go from that like 5 to 10% accuracy with a few model adjustments with like the parameters to go to like 30, 35% accuracy. But what we've actually found is a lot of the time, even if you optimize your performance on the answers, the answer the model will actually get is still oftentimes wrong because it's getting the answer from like the wrong chunk on the retrieval. So we've done a lot of work on benchmarking as well as improving RAG with techniques like Flare as well as Hide to actually find the right chunk of text when you're doing the retrieval, and how to like see whether the text you're getting from the chunk is better. So that way, if you're getting your citation from the right chunk, you can also essentially hopefully get a better answer. And I think one thing that's important to note with all this is, right, right now, I think the state of the art of the industry is basically very subjective. Kind of the way people will evaluate these models is mainly based on like human eval, where people kind of go through and they're like, hey, it's right or wrong. I'll just make my prompt like bigger, smaller, change some of the prompt text. What's nice about like the data sets we've benchmarked with Finance Bench and RAG and Struct is they were labeled, so you can kind of do things like cosine similarity or ROGAL or BLUE score to see some sort of string match as well as, you know, chunk matching. So your evaluation is based on some like labeled standard data. But in the real world, a bunch of the data you're looking at to actually evaluate this is completely unstructured. So it's really difficult to even evaluate whether the answers to your text or the chunks you're getting is correct, when you're really the only way to go do it is rather than using LLM evals that have a human actually go through. So we've been actually working on building a software development kit, which essentially enables you to upload documents, chat, and evaluate with the call of an API, and abstracts a lot of the eval of these models behind the scenes via an API. And it's also, I'd say, still a work in progress, but what's nice about this TLDR is rather than having to go through all your documents, you can go through, just chat with them, you can do it privately, you can get the answers to your text, and the answers are hopefully a little better given the fine-tuning in RAG. But thank you, Sakshi. Yeah.